Welcome back. So we're continuing our conversation about geometric sequences, but this time we're moving on again to when we're dealing with any missing terms. So our first one is that basic case of what if I'm just missing a term and I want to know what it is. Okay, so arithmetic had the arithmetic mean. Well, geometric has its own mean as well. We call this a geometric mean, and this is how we calculate that. All right, so you multiply the two numbers, square root them, and remember when you square root as part of a formula, you always get plus or minus. So when it's given to you that you have a geometric sequence and you're missing the term, all you have to do is multiply those two terms, so 7 times 28, and square root of 160 or 196, you can use your calculator for, obviously, and you're going to get plus or minus 14. Now you may be wondering why plus and minus this time. Now, the reason it's plus or minus is because you actually don't have enough information to know if you're flip-flopping signs or if you're keeping a consistent sign. Because remember, to keep a consistent sign would be positive 14. If you're flip-flopping signs, it would be negative 14. You don't know which it is, so you need to account for both. It could be either one at this point. Since again, we don't have all the information. Same thing for this one here. So if I know I'm dealing with a geometric sequence, all I need to do is multiply those two numbers together. Square root them. And I need to remember the plus and minus because again, I don't have enough information to know if I'm flip-flopping signs or not. Okay, so again, pretty basic, but unfortunately this only works when you're missing a single term. Well, what if I'm just given any two terms and I'm asked to find the explicit formula? Well, this is actually exactly the same strategy as when I taught you how to do this arithmetically. The first thing you want to do is always figure out, what do I know? Well, in this case, I know my first term, I know a future term, and I know the n value of that future term. Now, the one thing you probably noticed that I did not say that I have is I don't know r. But to write the explicit formula of a geometric sequence, I need to know what that r is. So that's going to be my first goal. And again, you always use explicit formula to find a missing piece of information. So I'm going to say that I know what that future term is. I know, oh, I'm sorry, not 5. I know my future term is 4, and that's going to equal my A1. I don't know R, but I know the future term that I'm talking about. All right, well, the first thing I can do is 4 minus 1. That's easy enough. We know what that is, so let's call it what it is, which is 3. Well, now I need to get that r by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide by 500. Okay, so when I divide 4 by 500, I get 0.008. And that's going to equal r cubed. All right, now to undo a cube, that is a cube root. So let me show you how to cube root this. Okay, so go into your calculator. To get to the cube root, so just like a square root undoes a square, a cube root undoes a cube. If you go into the math feature, your cube root is right there. So scroll down to there, cube root of 0.008. My r is a 0.2. All right, so I have my r value now. So that means I have exactly what I need to write my explicit formula. So my explicit formula is my first term times that rate to the n minus 1. And that means I'm already done. My explicit formula is ready and good to go. All right, so let's try another example, shall we? So if A1 is 2 and A4 is negative 54, write the explicit formula. So again, first let's start by identifying what I know. I know my A1, I know a future term, and I know the n of that term. And what am I missing? Well, I'm missing my r value, okay? I don't know what r is at the moment, but I can use my explicit formula to figure that out. So I start plugging in what I know. Well, I know my future term. I know A1. I don't know R, but for that future term, my N is 4. So you always plug everything you know into your explicit formula. And now we start solving. Well, the 4 minus 1, that's easy enough. We know that's just going to be 3. And I'll start working to get my R by itself. Well, to get my r by itself, I'm going to divide by 2. So negative 54 divided by 2 is negative 27. And now to undo a cube, I need to cube root. So I need to cube root that 27. So I'm going to go back into math. Cube root negative 27. That's going to give me negative 3. So this time, my r is negative 3. Now that I have my r, now I have everything that I need to write my explicit formula. So I take my first term times the rate to the n minus 1, and I'm finished with my problem. I have my explicit formula ready and good to go. So I thank you for joining me for this. Make sure you have all this written down, and then make sure you come and see me if you still have any questions about it.